Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
From writer-director Ryan Johnson.
The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime.
Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now playing on Netflix.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, let's bring in the great David Bozell, of course. He is the big cheese over at the Media Research Center, and they do such phenomenal work, guys. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you read newsbusters.org out there, but the studies they do, they are tireless, but most importantly, weird to say this in today's media, but impossibly accurate. So I quote them all the time whenever I'm on Fox or on this radio show, and they make my job quite easy for me. So, David, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, for only, within a week. That was a fast year. And a lot happening in media as well. The Media Research Center has given out their quote of the year, and not in a good way. This was Matthew Dowd. Before even Charlie Kirk got to the hospital, when we didn't know whether he was alive or dead or not, they throw this clown over on MSNBC, now called MS Now, whatever that insane asylum is called these days, and then he has to go off and say this. Well, again, we didn't even know if Charlie was alive or dead. Cut 7, go.
And following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Unbelievable, David. I guess what he's saying, obviously, is Charlie had it coming. A father of two and a loving husband. He deserved to die because he had speech that some people disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, look, Joe, the prelude to that quote was Matthew Dowd suggesting that Charlie could have been shot by one of his supporters waving a gun in the air in celebration. Right. Mm-hmm. You know, as if that's what we all do in conservative conspiracy meetings. We just get our guns and just fire them in the air, willy nilly. It's just an abhorrent comment. Look, if you've been in breaking news situations, I've been in breaking news situations. The job in a breaking news situation is to sit down, shut up, look straight, listen to your earpiece, to have the producer tell you what's going on, the who, what, when, and where. That's it, right? That's the gig in a breaking news situation. And Matthew Dowd found that moment to be the moment in which he claims that Charlie could have been shot by one of his supporters, and that he basically deserved it. A ridiculous comment. He was fired not so long after, but a couple hours later, he tried to apologize. We demanded that he apologize, and we demanded that he apologize on the air. He tried to one of these fake Twitter apologies, and MSNBC, to their credit, fired him on the spot, that night. So, that's why, because of the story, because of the gravity of the moment, because of the gravity of the story, because of the gravity of the error, that is why we named it the worst quote of the year in 2025.
And that's right when he said that. And that is the impression that I think many people in media who are these elitists that live in these ivory towers in New York or Washington, like a Matthew Dowd. They honestly look at Trump supporters that way as, a bunch of hicks going yeehaw and just firing some guns when Charlie Kirk's having a debate over something, which makes absolutely no sense. But then, it just happens to not fire it in the air, but, fire it straight where Charlie's struck in the neck. I mean, they just look at everybody as rubes.
Well, Joe, I mean, and you see it, fast forward to the present day, you're seeing in the lack of coverage in the Brown situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know, there was a massacre in Australia around the same time frame, but this was a college kid in Brown University in right next door to the epicenter of all media, right up there in Providence. And there's a real lack of coverage about the victim, about the case. There's a lack of curious coverage about the quality of the investigation going on. And it appears that this young girl may have been targeted because she was a member of the Republican club in Brown. And a lot of people were asking those questions, but not the liberal media. Okay, yeah. Not the legacy media. Those guys are just all silent. So it's just distressing and sick to see the quality of the coverage when a conservative gets shot, and or the lack of coverage when a conservative gets shot.
Oh, you're so right about that. I know that I was hosting the big weekend show on Fox on Saturday when all this broke out, and we were in what's called tape at 8 p.m. In other words, Mark Levin, his show is pre-taped because sometimes it's harder to get guests at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night as opposed to if you could pre-tape it on a Friday afternoon. So all that said, we knew we couldn't go to a tape at that point where they're not talking about the shooting. So we were told, okay, we're staying here for as long as it takes. And then we went another hour with a already 3-hour show. And then we were able to get some more live people in after that. But yeah, I mean, we've been covering it. I know that. And I don't count Fox under legacy media because I think that we look at our story selection a lot differently. But yeah, I think two factors in play here. One, Democrats are running Providence, right? And Rhode Island and New England in general. So we can't make the mayor look bad or anybody else who's involved. And then who the shooter is. All I know is a lot of people, students, the witnesses that said, well, we couldn't understand what he yelled. I mean, that obviously means that it was something yelled in another language, probably something that starts with A and ends in bar. So, yeah, I think that the minute that, let's put it this way, if this was somebody in a red cap that went in there and took out the head of the Democratic, club of Brown University, this thing would be wall-to-wall, 25 hours a day coverage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Absolutely. And it extends... Joe, it extends into the digital space. So one of the things that we've, since I took over, we created this new toy. We're calling it the Crawler, tentatively, and then we're able to count the amount of coverage and the left-right distinction of the coverage on the big aggregators. And the big aggregators are Apple, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Google. And so we looked at everything that Apple News presented on its app, and look, folks, that's 124 million people a month.
Yep.
Using Apple News, right? So these guys are big dogs on the block. They had 560 stories on that thing in the month of November. 559 of them were labeled left-wing by a company called All Sides. So not by us, right? By another neutral arbiter.
Yeah.
559 of the 560 articles that we found on Apple News were left-wing sources. And the one was a Daily Telegraph article about something going on in Great Britain. Not a single thing from Fox. Not a single one.
Wow.
Not a single link to Fox from Apple News, which I would consider to be center-right or, center. Not a single one of those. So Google's the same way. I mean, Google had linked to the New York Times and even 100 times on its front page on the Google News in the month of November. So this is why the New York Times, in our world, everyone will tell me, Joe, well, I don't read the New York Times and I don't know anyone who does. Well, they have 440 million visitors a month. They're the number one news website in America.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating to say that. And the reason why they're able to survive is because the Googles and the Apples and the Yahoos are pummeling traffic to them day after day after day. And so that's going to be the next step in the MRC's evolution, is to help balance this out a little bit here. A lot of it, actually. and that's going to be an important part of our future.
And we're talking to David Bozell. He is the MRC president, took over for the great Brent Bozell, who eventually, I hope, will be named ambassador to South Africa. But Democrats, they're slow walking. This thing's moving. I've seen Jell-O move faster than this confirmation.
I know. He's they're in the queue. Should be tomorrow. Should be Friday.
Oh, good. Okay.
So it's they just wait till the absolute last minute Christmas break, and he and about 111 other nominations are going to be voted on all at once. It's a silly process. There's too many nominations. It just goes to show you that the government's just too damn big. There's just too many people to fill. Somebody figured out, that yes, the Senate is going at a record pace. Congratulations, golf clap, in terms of confirming President Trump's nominees. If they continued that record pace, President Trump's administration would be fully staffed in 5 years.
Oh, jeez. Which I believe a term only goes 4, and there will be no third term, probably. That's just a remarkable stat. I can't believe it. All right, we're going to play a little lightning round here since we're a little low on time. But I'm just going to play something, and you just jump in and give me your thoughts on it. This is cut 8, guys. Go.
The Minneapolis Star-Tribune, just as another piece of the puzzle as to who the shooter was, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune says, according to court records, because there's been some confusion about what the shooter's name was.
Yes.
Robin Westman's mother applied to change her child's name in 2019. It was, at one point, Robert Paul Westman.
Correct.
But since she identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification, was underage, it's now Robin Westman.
David, this was a shooter at a church that killed several children, and Jake Tapper is making sure that we get the pronouns right. Unbelievable.
Jake and his liberal media brethren would love nothing more to allow the left to just sandpaper down any part of not just Americana, but any sense of individuality in this country. If it were up to them, we'd all be referred to as they, thems. And for all eternity, and we'd just be one big human blob, and how disrespectful and irreverent and disgusting toward those kids.
Yeah.
To just spend we're not talking about the kids, right? We're not talking about the victims and the families and how they might recover and the investigation. We're just jumping through hoops to try to make sure that we get the pronouns correctly. Silly.
All I know is that the irony is that Donald Trump won last year largely because of an ad where he said Kamala Harris says she's for they, them, and I'm for you. Right. So that was very effective.
Great.
All right. So we got one more. Okay. And this is Katie Couric. All right. Who is paid for, millions of dollars by every major broadcast outlet, ABC, NBC, CBS, to be an evening news anchor. Here she is talking about how left-wing media seems to always get it right, and right-wing media, they're just a bunch of bad people. This is Cut 9, go.
I think they are trying to adhere to what happened, the facts, and what it means. And I don't know about you, but when you watch right-wing media, a lot of it is focused on what the left is saying and mocking them,
yes, right,
or trashing them.
It's owning
instead
the
instead of sort of saying their version of events, which is usually very laudatory towards the administration, right?
Now, the best part about that was, Brent, we only got about 45 seconds, is that Katie Couric said this to Jennifer Welch in that houseplant that doesn't say anything really next to her. She just stares the whole time. Jennifer Welch, who's like one of the ugliest, in every way, shape, or form, vile podcasters out there, that once said, just right after Charlie Kirk was shot, that Democrats need to embrace celebrating his murder. And here's Katie Couric saying that, actually, you're the civil ones here. I'll give you the last word.
I love the irony. Katie Couric and Jennifer are admonishing the right-wing media for, quote, owning the libs. All that is basically an attempt to own right-wing media. So, what are we doing here?
What are we doing?
No one got more things wrong on more networks than Katie Couric. So there.
That's true, and that's why she's doing, podcasts from her kitchen at this point. That's what she's been reduced to. Anyway, he is the president of the MRC, the Media Research Center. David Bozell, again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Merry
and thanks
Christmas
so much for
to the conscious.
Absolutely, yes. David knows the Conchas. He's met them several times. He's Uncle David now at this point. You're now the unofficial uncle, so that's that. All right, so that was David Bozell, a great guest as always, and this is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.